I want to get us grounded for today because we're going to do a lot of inner work. You don't need certainty. Certainty is really hard to come by. And if we're waiting for certainty, we tend to be deflecting on making choices and moving forward. We really need to get into this self trust. So, what is self trust? Self trust is the relationship you have with yourself when things are uncertain, uncomfortable, and not going as planned. Now, what's interesting is this is one of those things that people want to have self trust. They want to hold it and they want to feel in control. They want to feel like they have it all the time. And self trust is not always built on just a mentality or affirmations, it's built on actionable things that we do that can prove to us that we are trustworthy. Now, I had to look at my life, a quick little story here. I had to look at my life recently to go, I was asked, I actually decided to step down as CEO from my company. And one of the reasons my business partner asked me why, I said, I just don't trust myself to do the CEO decision making. And he asked me a really empowering question, which was awesome. It was, well, what is telling you that you can't trust yourself? And that's almost more important when we dig into self trust is understanding where did we lose it? Where did it come out of our life that we now are diverting to indecisiveness? You're going to see self trust show up in a lot of different ways through indecisiveness, constantly relying on other people, questioning everything, having fear show up in terms of the choices and decisions that you're making. So, where did you lose it? What makes you think that you are untrustworthy for whatever that's coming up? If it's relationship with a spouse, what makes you untrustworthy? What makes you not trust yourself in business? What makes you not trust yourself at school or wherever that relationship dynamic is outside that inner core circle of me? What is it that dynamic got wrong? Right. And so for me, it was I looked at the pattern and it was that there were so many things that just didn't line up and work out in terms of what I thought was the right move. And that's where I started to lose my trust. But I had to again step back to look at that from another lens to go, was it that it didn't work out because of me and my decisions? Or was it just not the right implementation of what was needed for the company at the time? So a lot of the times we create a story around what we believe is not like our beliefs around ourselves, right? The story became that I'm not trustworthy because none of the actions that I was taking were mounting in what I perceived to be a success. And so what I perceived to be success was financial gain, but there were other things that were happening in the background. But I lost my trust in myself because it wasn't turning into this financial reward. So we always have to be clear in like, if I trusted myself, what do I believe the outcomes would be? And are there other outcomes that can come from this? Or does the outcome even matter? Right. So again, it's asking questions, digging into it, trying to get deeper and deeper of can I build my trust back up through making small actions? So let me throw back up to the stage here. Self trust, as I mentioned, it's the relationship with yourself. What we want to look into right now, what data do you have that you can trust yourself? And that's going to be important when we get into the hypnotic work because we're going to try to pull up a memory where it's like, I can remember a time where I did something that made me realize, like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, that was the right decision. Um, I got through a really difficult time without knowing how to really do it when it started, right? Because again, that self trust, it's about, I always say people always want control, but what they really want to feel is that they're confident enough in the moment of uncertainty to get through things and that you have enough tools in your tool belt that you can rely on yourself. So, when was there a time that you felt that? And when you feel that, right? That it's like, wow, I did that. I was able to navigate. For me, it was I was able to navigate running a huge spa business in New York without really having the background. Like I trusted myself that no matter what happened, I could figure it out. And I always did. That doesn't mean that we're negating stress. or pain points. In fact, you're going to go through them, but you're going to go through them with a sense of groundedness that you're going to move through them. You're going to learn, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get better. It doesn't mean that they're not painful. It's just how much does it affect you? How long does it last? And how much does it deviate you from making decisions and choices? So, again, when was the time that you were able to trust yourself in a place of uncertainty or a place that was uncomfortable? Maybe it was a breakup. It was like, we've all been through that really terrible breakup where it's like, I'm never going to get through this, but you do, and you come out better for it. But it's like every step when you go through, you got to go step by step, moment by moment. And it takes really tapping into your heart. It takes tapping into your solar plexus, right? It takes tapping into your intuition and really getting grounded in all of that before you move through it. So it's right now, the question is, can we get grounded enough to trust ourselves to go through everything that's coming up for us or whatever life hits us with? So I don't want to we don't need to go too deep into these slides. I actually think I'm just going to brush over a lot of them. Um, you know, a lot of people don't trust themselves because they set up boundaries or they set up, things that they're supposed to do and want to do, but they keep, failing to do them, right? It's like I'm going to go on this diet and I'm going to stick with it and then I fail. So it's like, why can I be trustworthy with food? I can't. I'm always going to show up on time for this class and you're constantly late. It's like, well, I'm obviously not trustworthy to make it to places on time. And then we build stories around that I'm just that person that's late. So we want to look at all the stories that are created around our self trust. We outsource our decisions, which I mentioned earlier. We have a fear of the consequences, right? I'm going to fail. I'm going to have regrets, or, it's wrong. Maybe there's a voice in the back of your head if you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. Parental figures, you can never live up to, their expectations, or a spouse. Um, you're constantly punishing yourself for past decisions, right? Just because I made a decision in the past, it's going to come to haunt me and it's going to be finitely true. That's hard when we're trying to trust ourselves. When we look at the past, that's all we can reference, right? But there's also parts in our past where we can trust ourselves, where we did do great things. So we want to start pulling from those. Those were not traumatic, those were exciting, but we kind of give ourselves, it's like, okay, I did that. Now it's really not that great. I need to one up it. But what we do keep going back to are those past punishing moments, those traumas we never fully let go of. And that's a tough orientation. So the first step in that is just give yourself that pause, that gap to go, you know what? That might be true, but it's not finitely true. What else is true? Let's move forward. You're confusing emotion with accuracy, right? Like we will tend to, before we do things that are unknown or scary or uncomfortable or uncertain, we are going to have that anxious feeling. That is normal. When fear comes up, we're going to feel that, right? And it's when I feel unsure, it probably means I shouldn't do it. We are dictating that these emotions are accurate to the experience that we're going through, and they're not. The truth is, they're probably accurate to what you went through. And what you went through might be similar, but it's not the same, right? Similarity does not mean sameness. And so we want to separate them and to check in, again, going back to heart, head, intuition, solar plexus, to get grounded, to make a decision to move forward with logic, not emotion. And this is where it's powerful stuff, right? Because I'm asking you now not to just trust your intuition, but to go with logic, right? Logic lives in the conscious mind. We can decide what we intuitively want to do by going inward. But then how do we implement that? That's where we're going with the conscious mind. That's where we want to begin to build the plan. And it doesn't have to be a perfectly laid out plan, but maybe just the first few steps. Keep it simple, right? There's that acronym KISS. Keep it simple, silly, or stupid. I hate using the word stupid, but keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. Simple always is a win. Overthinking becomes a habit. That's where you're also going to see a lack of self trust coming up. Nervous system conditioning, right? If we learned mistakes in the past lead to rejection, remember, our subconscious mind wants to keep us safe. It has no interest as if you're happy or not. It just wants to keep you safe. So if trusting yourself, not trusting yourself and constantly outsourcing to others is what you're going to do to stay safe, that makes sense. We just need to inspect the internal dialogue that's going on of what is causing you to not trust yourself and how can we work on those systems to make it stronger. So, rebuilding self trust, start small, keep it simple. Do what you said you're going to do, right? Make a decision and start down that path. You can always pivot. Stop renegotiating with yourself. Decide quick, right? Don't overthink it. Remember, they always say when you're taking tests, it's like whatever your first reaction is, like on a standardized test, it's usually the right one. We just tend to overthink it, right? Let decisions be imperfect. You do not need to be perfect. Decisions are in the moment, and it's everything that we do afterwards that matters, right? The pivot moments are really what define us. It's not the decision in that moment, it's how we handle everything that comes next. Um, yeah, handle whatever happens next. Just handle it. You can. You're going to. This is the growing pains of learning and getting stronger and more confident. And build evidence daily. Show yourself every day. What did you do that shows that you're trustworthy, right? Did you take that left hand turn in your car and you did it perfectly? Great. That might not feel like a win, but you didn't hit anyone. You did it perfectly. You navigated. You were in control. Give yourself credit, even where it might feel silly because you're creating new neurological pathways. And that's really important here. So, when we get into talking about um, self trust, right? Really trusting yourself, here are some words that I sat and really thought about. Like, what words come up for me? I want you to look at them, right? We've got compassion, consistency, integrity, follow through, ownership. You can read through this list on your own. I don't need to read it all to you. But when you read through it, when you think about trusting yourself, what words come up that really resonate with you? It doesn't have to make sense why or how, but just go, oh, that for some reason, take the logic out. On some emotional level, right? Ownership feels right. Courage, you know, grounded, stability, something. Or you can also look at this list and go, huh, I'm going to work on more ownership in my life right now. And the more that I can own things, the more I'm going to feel like calm, relaxed, in control. And those things are going to help me get to self trust, right? So, what are those emotions or behaviors or thought processes that are going to really help you build to a place to feel self trust. Because again, self trust is an emotion, but it's also gained through the actions we take that are proving and showing evidence to us that we have the ability to trust ourselves again, even after a letdown or a trauma. And I love that. I think that's so empowering and so powerful to be able to say, this is what I want to work on, even if it's just for a little bit today. Even if I don't totally trust it, the more that you can begin to believe it, try it on, work towards it, shift the words around it, right? Like, I want to feel more compassionate toward myself today because compassion for me means forgiveness. It means having a heart. It means holding space for myself where there were some really big perceived fuck ups, right? Like, I know I've made some bad decisions, but that doesn't mean that I'm someone who finitely makes bad decisions. The bad portion of it is completely subjective. It was a decision I made that had consequences that were, maybe they were financial, maybe they were emotional, maybe they were friendship, maybe I lost a partnership, maybe I lost business. Whatever they were what happened. But that does not define you. It's the culmination of a whole system that defines who you are, right? You can be have like a very bad day, but just having a bad day does not define who you are. But we want to be perfect and we always strive to be perfect. And these are coping mechanisms. So I like to approach myself as I'm going through this period of transition and change. Um, to really just have a little bit more compassion with myself. And I hope that there's a word, and I can put that list back up, or I can copy and paste it into the chat here too, of just trust comes in the small moments. It's not these big grand things, right? Because Has anyone ever accomplished a goal, right? Call it graduating high school, graduating college, graduate something, right? Like it's such a big deal. Passing your SATs. Do you remember how big of a deal those things were? And now you look back and it's just like, oh my God, who cares? Like I couldn't care less about the SATs. I feel for my kid who's going to go through them one day, but like I could not care less. Um, that's because goals are wonderful. But we don't chase the goal. We chase the emotion that it sparks within us to drive our behavior, right? Like it's that emotion of I feel proud. I want to feel proud. And if I felt proud, I could trust myself more. So it's like, what can you do in your life that are small things that you could feel proud of? Little things. It could be doing the laundry when you just didn't do the laundry because it's a pain in the butt to do laundry. It's a pain in the butt to fold it. It's a pain in the butt to wash it. It's a pain in the butt to collect it. All of that. And that's where we can just be a little bit more mindful of like, what are those things that I want to feel when I feel that I'm on my path towards self trust and just define it. So let's take a moment. I'm just going to go to the comments, but what I want you to think about while I take this mini pause, define self trust for you. I can trust myself when I feel self trust is when I have self trust, I behave differently in the way of, right? However, you want to answer these, just put it down on paper, put it in your mind, say it out loud, get it out of your heads, put it somewhere. Okay, I'm just going to check the comments. Jill, I'm so happy I joined today's session. This is all resonating strongly. Oh, Jill, see, this is why I do these classes. I love being able to teach. I love being able to help people hold space. 90% of what I say, everyone's going to forget, but there's going to be those one or two nuggets that just really resonate and set your path in a new trajectory for an hour, for a day, for a month, for a year, whatever it might be. So, Jill, thank you for making my day that much better. I really appreciate it.